Good morning. Okay, it's 5 a.m. here in Sydney. Another big match in the Crazyhouse World Championship for the candidates. All of them are big matches. We've got IM gsvc against IM opperwezen. This is IM versus IM. And we're straight into it. We've got an early d4, queen e7. Now the idea here is if knight takes c6, queen takes e4 check, allows black to win a pawn and recapture this knight. You could have queen takes e4, queen e2. But yeah, I think opperwezen will know something here, so he's quickly looking at this f3 square where you can get a fork. And so black's kind of already a pawn up here, queen a little bit awkwardly placed, but I think it's black that's caused a little bit of disruption here. So again, I'm doing the standard 3-minute delay for all the Crazyhouse World Championship matches. Just a standard process to respect both players, so that anything discussed here on Twitch is not going to be heard by the players. I mean, look, the players are generally very honourable as well, but I also don't want people to be making any sorts of accusations, because it's simply not possible for the players to make use of any information discussed here. So knight at e5, queen goes to c3, avoiding knight at f3. Okay, pawn at d4. You can't take it because of the same trick. So I think gsvc should move it, but to where I'm not sure. I mean, clearly queen takes c7 was an idea, but white needs to assess if knight at f3 is going to be dangerous. So here's what I think opperwezen's thinking. He's probably trying to bait this. gsvc hasn't gone for it. He's gone for the knight. Maybe he's thinking of taking. So he's committing here. I'm not sure about this. He could be right, but queen a5. So black has a couple choices. He can either try to play b6, which might run into queen takes e5, knight at c6. That's what this pawn is doing. It's defending c6 at the moment. Alternatively, you could be taking c7 and then knight at d5. Now, if you've got that line, yeah, I was thinking king d7, but then queen at c7, king e8, and I wasn't sure how white was going to continue. So here I figure queen takes e5 is on, yep. And that also means there's one less knight hitting f3. So this is all sharp stuff. And opperwezen choosing not to run into any knight forks with knight at c6. So queen takes d4 makes sense here. And you could even see queen takes c2 to follow. So I think both of them are out of their book, I would expect. Now bishop g5, a nice move. You wouldn't want to play f6 because the knight at f7, king d7, pawn at e6. Oh, sorry. He has the queen covering here. I suppose opperwezen didn't want to be passive with knight at e7, queen takes d4. Queen takes c2 would have run into rook c1 possibly. I like how gsvc has gone about this. He's cleared up black's main threat with the knight here on e5, and now he's looking at winning some material. White stands better here. Okay, he's picked up the rook. Wow, we've got a donation already. Bakuz has donated $5. Thank you so much, Bakuz. So queen takes c2. For those who don't know, you can donate now. Just underneath the stream there's a button. All proceeds donated from the streams on the candidates go towards the Candidates Appreciation Fund. So I've set an ambitious target of $1,111 to signify 11 candidates playing this year, and if they for each candidate that completes all their matches, they will receive their share of the candidates fund. So please support. We've probably got another couple months, so I've set the target at about 60 days, but it's going well so far. We've got $71 already, just within the first day of the donation is becoming available. So thank you so much for the support. Bakuz, thanks for the latest donation. Gotta give a big shout out to Lee Kai in the Sky, who donated while the stream was offline, but that was a huge $45, and a very nice comment that came with that. Chuck Moulton and Blunderman1 have also been contributors so far. Thanks to everyone for that. Yeah, please show your support for the candidates. They've done a tremendous job to get this far. Already at least winning 5 knockout matches to make it through the double elimination, and I think they're putting in some time to prepare for matches, and they're grueling matches and great entertainment. So please show your support. So here, GSVC going for the kill. It looks like. Now he's got to make something out of this. I think he's close to mate, except that this queen is on c2. So that's the only thing stopping it with pawn at c7. Alright, but now opperwezen doesn't have a whole lot of material left. Okay, that does catch another donation. We had Afuro Zarumai donated $11. Thank you. Thanks to all the candidates who make life more fun with their games, and also thanks to John for making such great commentary. No more words needed. Let's go and make it a glorious CWC. That's a great comment. Thank you. Okay, wow. What happened here? Did a queen get blundered? No, opperwezen's got the upper hand now. That's unfortunate. I think I turned my head and opperwezen just took the game from GSVC. Bakuz's comment, thanks for the great stream and wonderful commentary. Thanks, Bakuz, one of our regulars. Okay. Pawn at d5. Wow, that looks like a new one. But GSVC doesn't look phased, so perhaps he's seen this before. So let's just rewind a second there. Pawn at d5, the idea being if knight takes d5, knight takes d5, queen takes d5, knight at c7, check. That's the tactic. So the pin holds. So that's one way of approaching this. That's a nice play from opperwezen. Now this is a good square for the knight to get on in this opening. This knight just really controls a lot of good squares. c5, f2, also controls f6. I just feel like GSVC had the upper hand last game. I don't know if he converted in the appropriate way, but opperwezen was just so good at holding on to a little bit of initiative, and it came through for him in the end. Okay, pawn at h3. Oh wow, he's just left that hanging, so this is full on. Knight takes f2, looks like it makes sense, just giving us a bit more support for h3. So pawn at g2. Wow, so GSVC has thrown all the material in for some initiative. This is, I think, a correct move. We're just consolidating on g2 rather than capturing. So now basically GSVC has reclaimed a bit of material, but if you count it, he's down a pawn and a piece. But you know, arguably has slightly better development. Now, this is probably the kind of situation I'd like to play as white, where I just got to defend for the game. But if I can do that, then I'll have the residual advantage with the material. And here I feel that white has enough to consolidate, regroup, and gradually use the material advantage to push back. So I'm giving opperwezen the upper hand here in my assessment. He's just been so solid with the light squares that GSVC is definitely tried to push for the initiative, but black stands at risk of running out of steam. Careful Tam, good morning. National Patzer with a subscription on Twitch Prime. Thank you, National Patzer. And wow, there's all the support coming through. Because with another 110 bits. So yes, I'll get back to discussing the games. Pawn at e2. Now the idea here is if knight takes e2, bishop takes f3, g takes f3, bishop at g2 would in some way help continue the initiative. So black's trying to disrupt all the light squares with this one. And as white, I would even consider taking with the queen. I mean, I'm always guilty of a queen sack where it's not necessarily required, but this would basically bishop takes e2 here, and all black has in hand is the queen. So material a little bit more balanced perhaps, but if black can't actually attack directly here, then white can play pawn at e4 to block out the bishop. Just take all the time required to consolidate, and there'll be all these pawns and knights here. Bishops are in good spots. I still favor white here. Black has basically one bishop in play, so f5. Yeah, that's stopping pawn at e4 from just blocking out all play. And now as white here, I don't think it's time for a counter-attack with something like pawn at h6. I don't think you proceed that way, because that starts putting pieces in black's hand, and white doesn't really have the grounds to attack yet. I think it's something more passive, like pawn at f3. Now opperwezen's gone somewhere in between, pawn at h5 actually, so he's preparing pawn at g6. That's a more promising path of attack. But yeah, it's GSVC in time trouble here. Opperwezen's looking at g6, h7. And I was more towards pawn at f3 than pawn at h5, but opperwezen going for a more aggressive path. Oh wow, the donations keep rolling in. Electric Masada has donated $50. That's fantastic for the candidates. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, really fantastic to see the community appreciating all that the candidates are doing here. So this is very, very dangerous now. I mean, knight at g5 had to be captured, or else black was getting mated. I think opperwezen was accurate with pawn at h5. I mean, maybe pawn at f3 is a bit more passive. He just correctly assessed that he had enough defensive resource already, and you saw how quickly he converted some pawns and knights into a game there. While opperwezen up 2-0, I felt GSVC should have won the opening game, but opperwezen slipped out there. So a change of move order, knight c3 played instead of the immediate d4, and what this does is it makes black commit the bishop to e7. So that avoids that queen e7 line, which I think is more preferable for black than this. So yeah, gotta say, Electric Masada, $50 donation. Now the leading donor to the candidates. In case you've just joined, I've set an ambitious target of $1,111, which is a candidates appreciation fund for the Crazyhouse World Championship of 2018. And the idea here is that this is to distribute to the 11 candidates when they conclude all of their matches. And there's so much effort and time going into this. I think they deserve more rather than less for all their efforts. And I just want to raise the profile of the event this way. So knight at e5, ignoring g7. That's all right. Rook g8 is very natural here. And so this pawn's under attack. I mean, pawn at h6 might be worthwhile holding on to this pawn, or else black's getting some good activity. And it's okay to drop this. I think c5 check bishop b5 would be okay. So as white here, you don't have like a knockout blow, but yeah, GSVC seems to agree. Flourish saying, hey John, great streams recently. Flourish, one of the big regulars of my channel. So pawn at h3. Flourish indicating in chat that queen takes e5 is an idea here. Yeah, queen takes e5, knight at g5. And wow, GSVC going for this option, so the aggressive option. So he's basically said, I've got the dark squares, so now I'm going to follow up with the light squares. So we weaken this one, put another knight in hand, and bishop takes, king takes, knight at g5. Now if king g6, you could even just grab h3 possibly. I think if king back, pawn at f7, like there's no weaknesses on white's side. I'm nearly feeling like you've got to go up. If like pawn at f5 maybe takes, and then you're threatening to come back. Opperwezen didn't like it, so he's backed off the king. And then after captures, he might recapture here. So yeah, Opperwezen under fire this game. Some good initiative for GSVC currently. If takes, yeah, you can't play h takes g. You'll get mated with queen e6 check, king e8, g8 queen, knight takes, knight at g7 check, king f8, queen f7 mate. So h takes g2 is not an option. Must be respected. And now here, yes, taking on h3, just preserving the light squares. So what's the material assessment? We've got white's got 2 pawns and a rook for a queen, but safer king at this point. Having said that, I mean black has good development. This is Crazyhouse, so this is a nearly dynamically equal position, and Opperwezen, he's not afraid of getting lost in the woods. He'll find his way from any position. I think pawn at d4 is a good move. Rook at d1 maybe a little bit passive, preserving the knight, but Opperwezen now looking to turn this around. I kind of feel like black got to put a pawn in a good spot and get white to put a rook in a bad spot. Now this is a nice move. If takes, you can take here, and bishop at e6 would fork. So yeah, GSVC still hanging in there. This is good play from both sides. Now king c6. I don't know if king c6 is questionable. kind of just gave white that tempo, but maybe opperwezen was keen to see this rook get blocked off. We're still at a critical point here where every pawn counts, every tempo counts. Knight at f3, nice, just consolidating kingside, getting these two knights connected. So what if bishop d6? What's white going to do? Could even be capture on d4. Wow, so opperwezen just stepping out of the way of that, but pawn at f7 is an issue. Okay, so queen at e2 is the threat now. That's what he's foreseen. He's played a sharp move. Can't recapture the queen because of queen at e2. So bishop captured. Well, what? Oh, he's got bishop at b5 check. Nice. So bishop at b5, covering e2. That's what knight takes g4 was all about. Sharp, sharp, sharp. Takes the queen. But opperwezen is still asking, do you have enough? Queen at e2, the mate threat. You can't castle because knight at h3 would be mating. Takes knight at f3, king h1, bishop g2. Yeah, looks like mate, unless maybe he can run. But this is game over. Bishop at g2, queen at f3. Oh, opperwezen, not easy. You know, he's really showing his flair. Opperwezen took down 12-teen. He's taken down Little Plotkin. He's taken down Juanet as well. So opperwezen, the man to beat, and already running away to a 3-0 lead against gsvc. gsvc is playing good, but there's just some fine margins. Opperwezen really played very sharp in that middle game just then. Okay. h3 g4. Wow, he's confident. He's playing with some flair here. Alright, some cheeky comments in chat. So Flourish says, who can stop Oppen now? Kyle Legion saying John. We'll see. If opperwezen makes it to the final, you know, that's going to be a tough match for me. On paper, with the thousands of matches we played, I look pretty good. But the thing is, that's a lot of that's been accumulated during opperwezen's learning curve. More recently, it's been even, or he has an edge in some series. So this is like just creative all the way. He's just left this pawn here and figured I'll just go sack a pawn on b4 and play rook b1. Yeah, I mean, gsvc didn't even like it. He sacrificed his queen. So white up a fair bit of material here. He's converted a piece, a bishop and a queen for a rook and 2 pawns, it looks like. Okay, but he's left this one hanging. I don't know if he intended that. Wow, bishop at d5 though. He could grab this guy, but also he's looking at something like knight g5 maybe, defending the rook on h1. No. Maybe he was considering taking e6. But I think you could take and then pawn at f7, king e7, just sidestep the knight g5 check. He went for the material here. Bishop c6 is sensible. Knight's weak on d7. This one is due to come back. No. So I think takes and pawn at c6 looks quite reasonable. Hang Na is asking, why is opperwezen so super strong recently? Well, opperwezen's been training the last few years at the highest level. He's always been strong, but some days he's stronger, some days he's just strong. And in the candidates so far, he is probably played some of his strongest Crazyhouse at a few of these games. He's just in form. And look, in last year's candidates, he placed third. He had a very convincing streak towards the late stages, I believe. So knight at e5. Threat is queen at d7, perhaps. He probably needs a bit more material, but he's just happy to trade the knight and keep pushing forward. Yeah, so rook takes b1 is not on because of queen takes d7. Queen at d7, that just looks too dangerous. Takes, king up. You could play bishop g5 check or bishop a3 to recapture the rook. Okay, so the trade made. Bishop e7, the idea, giving us some space on f8. Queen at d7 check. Now, Blinderman1 is saying, correct me if I'm wrong, Opper considered withdrawing from the candidate so someone else could play. Yes, that's how the whole J-Killer thing started, JK the Bullfrog code. So opperwezen saw JK come along, said, oh, I'll let J-Killer have my position, and opperwezen was going to sit out, and then I think no one wanted opperwezen to sit out, but people also wanted J-Killer in, and I think that's what actually led a decision, or an allowance for another wild card by the organizer Fishy Vishy, which has then led to some protest from Fumitox, who we'd all like to see still play. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I was saying, I think it's crazy if opperwezen withdraws. He's just so strong. That just can't be right. So, anyway, let's not worry about all the politics and all this going on. Yeah, I thought maybe queen takes d8 here, but rook at d8, king e7 perhaps. I just felt that was looking good. He's opted for queen c8, and that's not bad. It puts black on the defensive a little. So what has he foreseen here? I don't see queen c8 coming through. He's just looking for d8, looking for material. So is something like pawn at d2 dangerous though? No, maybe bishop at a5 first. I'm just looking at pawn at d2 because of knight at f3 check. King could take, but then there's still more. I think bishop at a5 is a good move to begin with. It just limits white's initiative. GSVC is putting up a good fight here. Wow, c3. Opperwezen's really trying to squeeze the juice out of every bit of material here. Pawn at d2, bishop takes d2. Knight at f3, okay. It's going that way. I'm not sure if this is as effective. I would have gone for bishop takes d2 instead of knight at f3 directly. That or recapture c7. I think GSVC was onto something with bishop at a5. So now he's defending the d8 square. That's a good move. He's attacking d2. He's still finding moves. If you take pawn at d2, king e2, I think rook takes d1 is strong for black. So a capture here, and then, you know what, white's also got to be careful that there's a discovered check which could win the queen later. So this is, it's all happening here. Pawn at d2, I just don't think white's got enough to attack quickly. Pawn at d2, rook takes d1, that's got to be the play. Pawn at c2, so he's gone for this one here. Now, unless there's some kind of kill shot, and there could be here, I think white's in trouble. Yep, so there's a bishop at f7. King e7, there's knight at c6. He's got to go to e7, knight at c6. It has to be taken. King f7, then the other knight back to e5. That's the game. Opperwezen finding the moves. I don't think pawn at d2 was any better then, because after pawn at d2, king e2, rook takes d1, queen takes f7. You've just got opperwezen on fire here. He's playing great middle game, strategic push, and then when it comes to the sharp position, he's also coming out on top with the tactics. What can you do to stop this guy? This is 4-0 for opperwezen, and believe me, I feel like the games are close. I feel like GSVC there maybe could have just defended instead of going for the attack. I kind of like black after bishop at a5, but slight margins are just going into opperwezen's favor here. Knight d7, knight c3. Okay, so this is not your typical d4 start, with these pawn pushes. This is going to be a kind of position that opperwezen will like. It's going to be a little bit unfamiliar for both players. I don't think GSVC is too concerned either here, though. I mean, he likes a good solid position, so I feel like it's pretty balanced. But with the black pieces, whoa, castling into the storm. I think you're happy if you're black and you can get equality out of the opening in Crazyhouse. There's a lot of theoretical ways to lose. So opperwezen is just going to hold on to the pawn. I like GSVC, solid, still pushing up. Now you don't want to take that because the knight gets free mobility. So as white, how do you progress here? So he chooses to castle first. There's some potential weaknesses here that could open up later, and opperwezen continuing with development. But is something hanging? Maybe not. His bishop still covers here. Takes, knight takes h5, takes. And black's fine, he's got all the pieces on the board where he wants them. So the exchange is going to happen, potentially. No, pawn at g5. So GSVC looking for the dark squares. I like how GSVC plays his middle games. It's normally a sensible way forward without sacrificing too much material. This knight maybe belongs on b1, maybe on e2. Oh, but I don't like knight a4 because I think queen a5 is good here for black. This is a free hit. Okay, going straight for the knight. Takes. No, taking that one first. So GSVC looking to trade all the pieces. So maybe knight a4 is just to say, well, you've got to take one more piece before you can get to a2, and I'm also defending b2 over here. Okay, so this is being captured, so opperwezen possibly avoiding bishop takes e5, so what, knight at d7 here would continue to hit. Black's threatening pawn at c3 here, so you've got to address that. Could be bishop at e5, is also sensible. This is probably one of those critical positions that's even hard for the strongest players to get right. It's, do I attack or do I offend? Do I not offend? Do I defend? It's so marginal to which way you should go. I think if bishop at b3, pawn at c3 is giving away the initiative to black. So I think Yeah, knight at d7 could be a play, or bishop at e5. I just think that this bishop on f6 has to be addressed. It's not yet time to defend this knight. We've got to let that knight hang out there. So that's logical. Bishop at g7 and replacing with the knight on f6. No, maybe bishop takes b2 is even on the cards. Pawn at c3. This I feel white can just take, and then bishop at e5, and then now white's controlling the critical diagonal. I felt like maybe white didn't quite have enough with just one knight attacking the king, but maybe opperwezen was uncomfortable about it. Bishop at e5 here. Yeah, I feel like opperwezen should have had a go. So this is good play from gsvc. I mean, he's just basically liquidated the threat here, and then he's defending. Now opperwezen taking a chance to regather, but if you look at the material, white's up a piece for a pawn and has all pieces in good spots. So gsvc's had to work very hard so far, but he's got the upper hand. I actually like the bishop at e7 there. Hits the knight, but also hits this pawn. If white can remove this pawn, black just doesn't have anything for the rest of the game. And I think bishop at e7 was just a subtle way to really make it difficult for black. I mean, it's even hard to push c5 there. Yeah, that was nearly kind of critical, just from a strategic point of view. Bishop d6 still playable, but then c5, and then black can put in a pin perhaps. Knight at c2, but then bishop at e7. So where's this going? Okay, so he's still going for bishop d6. But I think the idea is if c5, maybe there's bishop takes and you can capture the pawn here. Even that's not great. You could try something like knight at g6, but then I don't think that's... could be promising. You've got a lot of pressure on the rook. Yeah, opperwezen's got to think here. White's got the upper hand. b6. What was that? Was that preparing c5? Or is that just a slip? Oh no, this is gsvc's game now. b6, I didn't understand. Maybe that was meant for b5. But look how hard gsvc is having to work to get into a position of advantage. Now you've got to be careful. Knight at e2 check is going to lose a queen, so he's just going straight for the throat here. Does he have it though? I'm not sure white has a mating kill here. Knight, no, this is good. Rook at g7 mates. King h8 and knight takes g6. gsvc getting on the board. Well done. Well done. Alright, for those just joining, we've had some amazing support in the first day already. The Candidates Appreciation Fund has already gone up to $132. The target is $1,111. I'm going to acknowledge donations again. Biggest donation coming from Electric Masada with $50. Followed by Lee Kai in the Sky, $45. We've also had $10 from Chuck Moulton, $11 from Blunderman1, Baku's donated $5, and Furo Zarumai $11. So there's $132 already in the kitty here. I'm collecting the money on behalf of the candidates, just to acknowledge all their efforts to making it so far, and for all they're doing to play here. Now, here again, interesting. So opperwezen with the white pieces. I've probably played this against Yasser Sirawan a few times, where white just gives away a whole lot of pawns for development. And objectively, it might be better for black, but it's in some ways a bit easier for white to play. So bishop b4 check. I think GSVC knows a thing or two about this. Bishop b4 check is what makes white expend a pawn here, and white doesn't have many pawns in hand. And also it blocks off the file. I think that's why queen a3 was played, to support bishop b4, so that if rook takes you can recapture. So GSVC seems to know something here. I have a feeling opperwezen's considering taking this and playing bishop d2. Pawn at d2 may just be a little bit too passive. Allows black to play pawn at f5, cover the pawn on g4. So this feels very theoretical. Okay, bishop d2. So you can see he's preserving that pawn in hand for later. Now, at the moment, the guys aren't calculating to a huge depth. It's more of a feel on, strategically what's going to be important here. Well, I don't want to expend my pawn here. It's passive. It's blocking off my queen. The assessments are going to be a little bit more positional than calculated. I think bishop f4 is good here. Pawn at c3. I'm not sure if that's helping black, but wow. Okay. So assessment here that he's going to defend. Bishop at c1 though, putting the pressure on the rook. So queen d4. Does something bad happen to white after that? Looks like everything's hanging on the board. Could be bishop takes g5, knight takes, queen c1 check, and with the fork on g5. This is a high quality match, guys. GSVC is bringing it here. Don't be deceived by the scoreline. GSVC is playing good moves. I'm leaning towards bishop takes g5 and queen c1. The trouble is queen takes g7, is it? So bishop takes, queen takes g7, queen c1, bishop at d1, pawn at d2. Okay, that's probably a more sensible move, is preventing queen g7. If you take this one, black takes the rook. So capture here. Is there some kind of kill shot? I don't think so. Knight at d6, king f8. Geez, there's a lot for me to talk about every game here. The other one for white to watch out for is some kind of bishop takes g5, bishop at c3 at some stage. Let's say if you just played queen c4. Yeah, I think opperwezen's having a think here. Wow. Okay. Ooh, how does he assess this? So takes with making a queen to pawn at d7. I don't think white has enough. It got really sharp here, and I feel like maybe GSVC could have it. I just feel that black's going to be safe after pawn at d7, just king here. If a knight goes here, maybe there's a check you can see there, but king f8. Once that king gets to f8, everything seems to be covered. That has to be captured. He's picked up another pawn first. That could be a critical difference. King e7, bishop at c5, queen takes, rook d7, king e8. Now GSVC has the time here, so he's clearly stretched opperwezen on the clock. Pawn at d6, maybe a little bit safer, but knight at e5 check, king e7, knight takes c6, king f8. Nice. I think GSVC's got this one. But if white's attack runs out of steam, there's always a castle here. There could still be pawn at d7. Because black doesn't really have the kill shot yet. And don't worry about the clock. Opperwezen, with that 2 seconds every move, he's got enough. Pawn at d2, knight d2 takes, queen c1 check. I mean, what white's basically saying here is, if you can't mate me, I'm gonna get you. Wow, look at that sidestep, king d1. Saying you've got no checks left. Could be pawn at e2, queen a6 to cover c8 somehow. starting to like white again here. And yeah, that just shows you that Rook takes D4 is just that little critical move in between that helps white defend back at home. Wow, okay. Conceding the back rank, but queen at C1 may be a threat. Knight at E8. Can this be taken? Pawn at D7, knight at B8. No, I don't think he should expend the rook yet. I think it's pawn at D7, knight at B8. That looked like it was mate. But he's got a block with the queen. That's the problem. So this is going to be over as well. Wow, opperwezen, so impressive. He just bishop here, queen on B7. That's it. Doesn't matter where the king goes. That's mate. How do you stop this guy? How do you stop this guy? Opperwezen's just playing out of his skin. And GSVC is like, you just feel like he's got an edge, and then somehow opperwezen still says, well, okay, my attacks run out, but I don't have to check you here. I'm still pressuring you with pawn at D7. He's just playing too good today. So impressive. Up 5-1 already. He only needs to win one more game to take this match. And opperwezen would still have a perfect score. He is definitely the man to beat these candidates. Okay, we've got this opening again. He went to H5 last time. This time's going to F5. So early H4, and opperwezen not intimidated by this. There's a weakness here on G3, knight H5. Does he want to go for it? You could play knight H5 here, bishop back. Now if you take, then white takes with the bishop. He's being patient, just not allowing any tactics to happen with maybe something like bishop at B7 later. Queen D2, A6. Okay, B5. Opper just pushing all the flanks here. Claiming space on the outside. Okay, GSVC, kind of cute. Just saying, well, you've got a knight to look after as well. Okay, what's Opper seeing here? Isn't this just giving up a pawn? Maybe he was expecting a capture, and then after queen takes, bishop at b4. But white could have also taken with the pawn in that line. I like white here. White's a pawn up, and I think he's a clear pawn up. I didn't agree with b takes c3. I thought maybe bishop d7 was required to cover the knight back here. Okay, not much to think about. No, he's going to take this. But I feel that gives black a little bit of breathing room. This rook will probably come down to capture here. Maybe knight at e4 was the issue, because the bishop on g3 is a problem. Fair enough. So now if bishop back takes, and then pawn at g3, so I think a new bishop is required here. Yep, takes, and then can black do something with the bishop? So bishop at b4 check, bishop b5 is nearly trapping the queen, not quite. He's just gonna go for g3 instead. Could be. Ooh, nice. That's a nice shot. Just going straight for the king. Can't take that. That would be game over for black, because white would pick up this knight, and then black's initiative would run out. Maybe we need the castle here. This is a threat that needs to be respected. But the rook b6, okay. Are we going to see things come off the board here? Could be takes, pawn to g6, pawn to g4. No, I just feel like this is a queen that can be sacrificed now, just instinctively, but the continuation is not clear. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's something else. No, he's gonna do the trade. Is it pawn at g4 or something else? You drop a bishop here, and then the black's picking up material. So black up a queen for a pawn here, and this is a nice move. It kind of gets white to maybe expend some pieces at the back. You know, I mean, black could even allow a capture here and just hop back. Wow, I mean, maybe rook b6 is just making a fool of pawn at g6, just asking a serious question. So gsvc pushing up, but I think white's going to run out of steam. So knight d6 is nice because it might connect with the queen on b4 later on. Like opperwezen's just squeezing the juice out of every position here. Also covering f7. Like it's a great display of why not every sacrifice or attack has to be a winner. Opperwezen is defending dynamically here. He's not just defending here, he's throwing in the occasional move to help him defend at the front line as well. Yeah, I think that should just be sidestepped. He's basically saying, I've got the pieces, I've got the development, and you're going to run out because you don't have enough here. Looks like opperwezen's game again. He's just squeezed it from him. It's really impressive. It's really impressive. Is there anything to be concerned about here? It's rook at f8. You still got to be careful. You can't just take this, perhaps. Rook at f8. King e6. Don't even see a mate there. Could be takes, bishop, but you know, I thought he would do that. He's just that ballsy enough that he's saying rook at f8, king e6, and you've got no mate. That's basically what he's saying. I was going to call it as if, like, yep, he's going to calculate that he's not dead, and he's just going to keep steamrolling. He's that confident at the moment. Resigns, just amazing there. You know, a lot of players would just say, I don't want to take the risk with rook at f8, and opperwezen here, he's like, well, okay. He's like, I've won the match 6-1. Let's play the pinky. Let's go with rook a6. Okay. So gsvc in kind, returning with rook a3. But wow, opperwezen taking the match 6-1. That's just so impressive. All right. D5 looks like the way forward. So this will be fun. I mean, it's going to be a completely fresh position for both players. Now, you'd say, okay, the game's over. What is gsvc playing for? Well, if it goes to a tie break, every game counts. I can tell you last year, because I was in the candidates myself, and it was looking very much quite possible that Well, 12-10 was clearly in first place. Second place could potentially be tied, and even a game that, even a match that you were losing, you'd want to play on to get every point that you could. So that's what the players are fighting for here, even though the match is over. In terms of its overall result, everything counts. And Carl Legion has pointed out the same. Yeah, I've played a fair bit with GSVC myself, and I can tell you, beating GSVC 6 games to 1 is a difficult feat. Opperwezen's made it look easy, but what he's doing is not easy. Okay, yeah, I think Black's giving up a pawn here without really a continuation on the attack. Pawn at b6, but it probably doesn't gain too much for White. I think White should just hold on to his pawn like he's doing, and yeah, this is good for controlling squares. This might make pawn at b6 more dangerous a bit later, because when the king runs up, he's running into a net. So a8 knight hanging, but I think this should just be taken. You got to be careful what you put black into black's hands. Bishop c4. So sorry, the colors mixed up. For some reason, I thought opperwezen was black here, but I thought opperwezen instigated this with rook a6, but it's actually he's agreed with rook a3. Sorry, I'm still waking up. I covered the match between GSVC and Little Plotkin about 4 or 5 hours ago, and I've only had a few hours sleep in between the two matches. It's nearly 6 a.m. here in Sydney, so I had to get up 5 a.m. for this one after the other one finished about 1 a.m. Okay, pawn at b6. So opperwezen threatening d8 and b8. So if rook at c8, knight at b6. And here's where I was talking about pawn at d5, just cutting off some key squares. It stops knight at c6 from coming back in. So knight takes c4, picking up the bishop, also covering the b6 square. Now, does white have enough? Rook at d8, no, he says, I'm just going to pick up the queen. Rook at d8, takes, pawn at c7, look dangerous, but I think after king takes, knight at a8, king b8, queen at c7, king takes, black might have been okay. So he's just kind of exchanged the rook for the queen on a8 first. And he's looking for the next creative angle. Knight at b8 it could be. Threaten queen at d8. No, he's going this way about it. TDS Destiny, thanks for following. I was thinking knight at b8 would threaten queen at d8, and then you could take d7 after d8 was defended, and then like bishop at b5. Okay, he's decided he's going to go for the light squares. That's also quite reasonable. Knight at d6, or the old knight back to d6 could even be. Alright, is pawn at c6 working here? Takes. No, he's gone for the rook. Rook at b8. Maybe he's looking to rinse and repeat. Queen at c8, takes, rook at b8, rook at c8, take the queen. He's basically get the queen back in hand. Or there's something like c8 queen, knight at c7. Could be a threat. Ignore my last comment about c8. That's me still waking up. It was black to move. And black was in check already. Oh dear. That's really funny. I was like, how can I play c8 queen? The king's already in check. Oh, it's not white's move. Okay. Alright. Get some breakfast. Let's try to hold up the standard of commentary here. Pawn at f2 is something white has to look out for now because black has some material in hand. Oh, okay, he's allowing it. No, didn't feel like it. Maybe it's not quite enough. Okay, opperwezen just coming in on the light squares. Defense from gsvc, rook f1, so covering off pawn at f2. So black doesn't have any direct initiative. It's kind of hard to find a move sometimes. Bishop at b5 takes. Knight at c6 dangerous. Knight at b7 takes. I mean, white's just so safe. I think white can afford to be optimistic with this sort of move and just say I'm going to take this. Oh, I thought the knight could have taken that. I mean, that's over. Opperwezen, queen b5. No, that's. Never mind me. I'm missing the simple things here. 7-1. Wow. Okay. Opperwezen. I mean, taking up the rook a6 offer and playing rook a3. He's just playing. He's playing out of his mind. So gsvc throwing in something different here. e3 b3 setup. Opperwezen sometimes plays this. This is an idea I've put up against opperwezen, so maybe he's seen this. It's usually opperwezen's playing the white side of this and I might be playing the black side, and basically you're just trying to deny bishop b5. Okay, wow. gsvc just going for the big attack. It should be better for black. Knight c3, d5, takes, bishop c4 could be something. And I think black might be okay just taking 3 pieces for the queen, but white does get a bit of initiative. So queen h5 check. You can't really play g6 because that's going to open this up, so knight at g6 played. Now maybe bishop c4 check. Going for this one. Knight takes d5, bishop c4. No? Okay, maybe didn't want to give the 2 pieces for the queen. This is also very reasonable. It just undermines black center. Wow, h6, really? So I think gsvc is just content to grab this one. Maybe opperwezen was trying to trade off those queens. Oh, knight f6. Takes the queen, defends d5. Yeah. I don't think gsvc is in any other mood but to attack, but I think black can hold on to the material. Knight at f4, king takes h6. Yeah, you've got to be careful of some pawn at g5, pawn at g6 idea. But I think white's just giving up a bit too much material there. The way opperwezen is playing today, he's good enough to defend this. so that's a nice idea. This just ensures that the black king can maneuver back to f8. So black's not going to be killed too quickly. I mean, you can afford to give up the knight. You're so far ahead on material. Pawn at g6, that's nice. It's basically white saying, if I can get another pawn, I'm going to mate you on g5. And so opperwezen acting quickly to undermine the defender of g6. It's frustrating here for someone like gsvc. It's like, if I just had one more pawn, I could mate you on g5, but he doesn't have it. So here he's still covering g6. If takes, he's threatening mate in 1, but probably knight takes h5 is good enough. It's a bit like black is taunting white. It's like, you're always just going to be one pawn short or one move short. Is it king takes g6 here, or is it maybe pawn at g4 or pawn at f3 more sensible? Now, yeah, you could take this and defend. I don't think black has to go nuts here. Ooh, e3, sneaking in queen at d2. He just said, you know what, white? I'm like, you're not getting that bishop out. That bishop's stuck, and I'm just safe for the game. Like opperwezen is just like all the flair, just some nice finesses. Not taking the foot off the pedal. He can just attack and defend at the same time. Pawn at a3 here. Like it's just beautiful to watch. 8-1. Wow. Okay. b4, b5. Opperwezen is just outstanding here today. a5. So gsvc looks like he's had enough. He's just wanting to throw in something new and creative. He's thrown everything at opperwezen. He hasn't played badly. Opperwezen is just on fire. Okay, I think white could be up a pawn here. Rook a5, knight b4. No, e6. Nice. So gsvc preserving his pawn. Yeah, I like black a bit better here, I think. GSVC's found a nice opening. b5, a5, and I like black better. I mean, if the knight drops back to e3 or f4, you just take on a5, you're threatening to take a2. Wow, so Opper didn't like it. Just gave up a knight. Surely this is better for black. I thought maybe knight takes b4, but I guess Opper was simply going for a3 and pawn at b7. Here if a3, then black just takes this, pawn at b7, takes. I mean, black's just up material. This is good for black. This is black's game to lose from here, I feel. The development is just much nicer from the black side. There's a weakness on c2, which is naturally going to get hit with rook takes a2. Yeah, I like how GSVC is playing. He's just saying, well, I'm going to develop. Yeah, you got a weakness here. You got a weakness here. So opperwezen concedes pawn c2. That's basically saying, okay, my opening is rubbish. I need to do something about it. Yeah, GSVC, good principled play. Just okay, let's see if opperwezen can work his magic from here. I'm tipping GSVC to win this game. I don't think we can just say there's all that momentum. I think GSVC could be good enough to win. Alright, but he didn't have to do that straight away. That's giving opperwezen a bit of room to move. I mean, white doesn't mind parting with that rook. Bishop at d6 could be at least getting in the way of development a little bit. you'd want to put this pawn on d5. I would have played d5 instead of bishop b6. There was no need for it too early. I mean, rook takes a2 is the angle, of course, but it's always there. So that's what opperwezen is defended. Now GSVC did take down Little Plotkin just marginally, 6 games to 4. GSVC was actually down 4-3 and white was winning all matches. And then GSVC just won 1 game with black. That was the difference. And he cleaned up the last 3 matches to win 6 games to 4. So I'll post that video to YouTube as well as this one. Was very fortunate to have Yasser Sirawan join me for commentary on the Little Plotkin versus GSVC match, but he's a bit jet lagged at the moment. He's just returned back from St. Louis, I believe. Afura Zaramai, thanks for the stream at Janley Crazyhouse. I'm done for today. See you when another stream comes. Yes, thanks for joining and thanks for your support towards the Candidates Appreciation Fund. Afura Zaramai. Zamurai, sorry. I'll get that pronunciation right. Okay, GSVC is cashed in on winning the queen, but can he continue? E5 perhaps. No, H6 is a good move too. You don't want to allow bishop at G5. I think that's a better move than E5. Rook at F4. Okay, Oppo looking for some activity here. I think Queen H4 is right. You want to cover H6, so pawn at F6 is not given away so easily. Alright, F takes, knight F6 check, wins a queen. So maybe this knight backs off. But if you go knight E7, bishop at G5 is going to be trapped. Nice. So counter threat here. This is really nice. Rook at B1 if it's asking white to use his bishop on C1, which is not what you want to do. Take G4. Yeah, I'm still tipping GSVC to take this game. Takes. Like that file is in black's favor. Bishop at C1 it could be. No, bishop at E2. You can just grab the pawn. I think GSVC will be patient. He's okay with grinding. How do you defend this bishop on B2? You know, queen just kind of sidesteps any attacks, and then this one falls. So I'm predicting 8-2 here. I just think GSVC got out of the opening too comfortable. Queen D8 would nicely just hold D5. And then you just ask the question, what are you going to do about this bishop? Opperwezen resigns. 8-2 to Opperwezen, though. I mean, outstanding performance. This guy has now won 4 out of 4 matches. He's defeated GSVC, Little Plotkin, Juan and 12-teen. 12-teen, the big one. Took down 12-teen 6 games to 4 in a very closely contested match. I believe 12-teen was up 3 games to 1, and Opperwezen still brought it back to win 6 games to 4. So, wow. There you have it, guys. Another match down. Yes, look, I'm going to close off the stream there. I need to get some more sleep. I've just been flat out last few weeks, and work's been very busy too. That was an awesome display. Really glad I got to catch that and share it with all the viewers. If you've missed any of the action from today, I'm going to be posting onto YouTube Little Plotkin versus GSVC and this match Opperwezen versus GSVC. Huge thanks again. Just got to say I'm amazed at the support that's already come through on the first day for the candidates and the Candidates Appreciation Fund. Again, Electric Masada with the biggest donation, $50, followed by a Leak High in the Sky, $45. Afuro Zamurai with 11, Blunderman 1 with 11, Chuck Moulton with $10, and Bakuz with 5. So we already have $132 donated. We're at 11.88% of the target, $1,111. This is for distribution to the 11 candidates when they complete all of their 10 matches in their round robin. Thanks for showing your appreciation and support showing up today. I'm going to wrap up the stream there. Let's have it before I sign off. Again, I'm going to just show you where you can find more info on upcoming matches and past results. There's a very nice calendar set up by OKE. It looks a little bit like this. Hang on. And there's a few different views, but what we've got coming up is Saturday, 1st September. This is all on London time, so you can, I'll just show you here. If you click here, it says time zone London. Not sure if you can change it, maybe you can. Or maybe we're stuck on London. Nope, we can go to any other cities. Let's leave it on London, that's fine. GMT, I think, is just 1 hour less. So I think London time is GMT plus 1. So 8 p.m. here is 7 p.m. GMT. That's the time we're normally looking at. So yeah, I mean, there's other events in here. The Elite Crazyhouse Arena is on 8 p.m. London time on Saturday, 1st September. We've got 12 Teen versus Clearcast. That's the next match for the Crazyhouse World Championship. 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. If that's 8 p.m. GMT, that's 6 a.m. for me. So I'm going to make a commitment to catch that one. That's going to be Sunday, 6 a.m. in Sydney. So that's still just about 24 hours away. We've got 12 Teen versus Clearcast. I'm just going to post a link in the channel in case you want to have a look. And we've got GSVC versus Clearcast, 4 p.m. 12 Teen versus Sexy. I know it's 7 p.m. on the Sunday. I'm going to try to cover every match I can for you guys, so I may even be able to make those. 4 p.m. Ooh, that's probably a bit rough for me. That's going to be a 1 a.m. start. That's going to be a 4 a.m. start. I'm going to have work on Monday. I'll see what I can do. Maybe we'll catch the 12 Teen match. It might be difficult to catch both of them. But yes, I'll certainly catch 12 Teen versus Clearcast tomorrow. Please tune in again. These are some outstanding matches. Some fantastic talent on offer for viewing here. So happy that Crazyhouse is blooming and growing like it is. It's a dream come true for me. And thank you for all the support from the community. There you have it. Opperwezen taking down GSVC 8 games to 2. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'll see you in about 24 hours if you want to join me. Wherever you are, have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Take care.